Hi everyone, I'm Lesley from Heffy Doodle and I'm here at Scrapbook.com and I'm going to be sharing with you this cool video on how to make this sweet Hootiful card. As you can see, we have this fun inked background. We have two sweet little owls and on the inside we have a little surprise. To start off, I'm going to be doing some die cutting using the Heffy Doodle Imperial stitch rectangle dies. I'm going to be taking the largest one of these, which is 5.5 by 4.25, and the third size here. I'm going to be running these through the die cutting machine together to create a frame for my card. So I'll position them together like this, one inside the other. And because I'm using a magnetic platform, it will hold it in place. But just to be sure, I'll add a little bit of Heffy Memo tape on the top and the bottom here before I run this through my machine. Now this will create a frame that I'm going to use for the front of my card. It will also create a smaller inside panel, and this is where I'm going to be doing my inking today. Now before I put my die cutting machine away, I'm actually going to cut 2 more panels in this smaller size, and that's going to go on the inside of my card. So now I have my frame, this inside panel, which I'm going to be inking up today, and then 2 of these smaller pieces that will go on the inside of my card, but I'll set these aside for now. I'm going to use this inside piece here, set my frame to the side, and I'll add some ink to this using some Distress Oxides. I'm using Faded Jean and Peacock Feathers for a nice blue night sky. Using a mini blending tool, I'm going to work in circles and bring some of that gorgeous teal color to the middle section of this panel, and then use my Faded Jeans color to bring some of that darker, richer blue to the top. Now, because I'm working with Distress Oxides, this ink does take a little bit of time to dry, and I always like to try to be careful that I don't get my fingerprints in the ink. Take a little bit of Heffy Memo tape, stick it to my fingers, and use that to hold my project in place as I add my ink. Now I have a gorgeous colored background. It is Distress Oxide, so I'm going to be reactivating it and giving it that distress look by adding some water using a mister. You can just spray it on, but I like to have more control and take out the inside pump mechanism and tap the tube so you get these gorgeous little droplets all over your project. Now just take a paper towel and pick up that ink. You have this gorgeous background. Before I put my inks away, I'm actually going to take these 2 inside panels and using the peacock feathers, bring a little bit of color all around the edges of both of these panels. So when I put them on the inside of my card, they really pop against the white of my note card. I'll set these aside and come back to this piece, and now I'm going to die cut it using the Heffy Doodle Stargazer's die. I'll use the Stargazer's die and I'll place it over my inked background. Run this through my die cutting machine, and it will cut out all of those stars and create a gorgeous background. This is a really easy way to achieve a beautiful finish to your card, a really easy background with one pass of a die. Now I'm going to add my frame and my background to a top folding note card. First, I'll take my frame and I'll line it up perfectly. And you can, of course, take a little bit of memo tape to secure it down. And then using some wet glue, add some adhesive to the back of my die cut starry panel. Now I can tuck this into my frame and position it perfectly. And while that's sticking, I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of this frame so I can pop it up. So let's stick this down. And now I have this gorgeous 3D effect on the front of my card. Now let's move over and do some stamping. And I'm going to be using these cute little owls from the Heffy Doodle Hootiful stamp set. I'm using a stamp platform today so I can stamp multiple images all at the same time. And for my card, I'm going to need this owl, which I always call Mama Owl because it looks like she's holding her wing around a baby. And then we want this little guy who looks like he's just coming into land. And then for the inside of our card, we want our flying owl. We also have a sentiment to add. And in this set, there is a sentiment that says, wishing you a hootiful day. I'm going to stamp this, but I'm actually going to replace the word day with one of our Heffy cuts, die cuts, that says birthday. So the sentiment will read, wishing you a hootiful birthday. But let's stamp this up first of all. Now we're ready to color these little guys in, and then we can cut them out and add them to our card. I've gone ahead and pre-colored these guys so that we can jump right into the next stage of our card video. I'm going to die cut these using the coordinating dies from the Hootiful stamp set and die set. And once again, I'm going to hold them all in place with a little low-tack tape. For our sentiment, I'm going to be using the Heffy Doodle Strips of Ease dies, and I'll line this up, centralizing my sentiment so that it is right in the center. So I'm going to put these all through the machine, one pass, like this. But for our flying owl, we're actually going to need another die cut, just plain white, using this die. So let's take another piece of card and make some room, because I'm going to also die cut the sentiment, the birthday sentiment. And this time I'm using some craft foam, which has some adhesive on the other side of it. So it's going to be self-adhesive. So let's stick this down here and run this through. So we now have two die cut pieces of this owl. And we also have our foam birthday sentiment. Now let's bring back our note card and we can assemble the front of our card. The first thing I'm going to do is take a pokey tool or piercing tool and poke out all of those little inside pieces on the word birthday, just to get rid of them. Don't need them. I'm going to now peel back the release paper on the back of my die cut. So now I can take my die cut foam word and stick it onto my card. For the sentiment strip, I'm going to trim this down so that it just says, wishing you a hootiful. And then we'll stick this on top so that it says birthday. We'll add some craft, some foam adhesive to the back so we can stick these in place. So now our outside is complete. Let's open this up and we can work on the inside. For this inside section, you'll need your two inked panels, and one will go on the top flap like this and one will go on the bottom. But we want our cute little owl to be flying in the middle. So to do that, we'll take this blank die cut piece and add a little bit of sticky tape. I'm going to peel off the release, and I'm going to be using some thread today. Just any thread will do, clear thread, white thread, whatever you have lying around. And we want to connect the top flap to the bottom flap, but double it up so you have about twice the distance. About twice the length of an open note card is perfect. We're going to be creating 2 pierced holes into these panels, halfway along, so in the middle. And for the top panel, I'd like to have it about 3/4 of the way up my card. Just make a little hole like this. And then for the bottom section, I like to go about 1/3 of the way down in the middle. Like this. Take your thread that you folded over and then thread it through the hole in our top panel, like this. And this section has the loop, as you can see. I'm going to secure this down, but one trick that I have to make sure it's not going to actually move at all is to take a little piece of cardstock like this and thread it through the loop. And now let's stick this down with some double-sided sticky tape. I'll remove the release paper on my double-sided sticky tape and adhere this to the top inside flap of my card, like so. So the other end of my thread is going to go through the hole in the bottom part of my card. I like to trim them so they're both the same length. I think that makes it a lot easier to work with. And then push it through the hole. Like this. Now the first time we had a loop and this time we don't, so to create our own loop we're going to create a knot at the bottom of this, like so. And then we can take another piece of cardstock, just a little strip like this, and cover it with some sticky tape. Like so. And thread it through the loop, like that. Let's just trim off these little bits hanging over the side. Now I'm going to twist this piece of card, which will shorten the thread between the 2 panels. And this will help me figure out exactly how long I want my thread to be. So I want my panel to be about here, and I want my owl to fly when my card is almost all the way open, sort of like this. So I need to make sure that this piece of card is moved down my panel so it's nice and taut. About there looks good. And then we'll remove the backing. And stick this to the inside of our card. Like this. Now we can take the plain piece of die cut owl, place it where we want it to be, and put our colored one right on top, like this. So now when I close over my project, I have these cute owls on the front, but when I open it up, I have this little guy flying. Now the other thing you can do is twist it round and round and see if he will twirl as you open up your card. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe and leave a message.